So 15 mark questions, you will have 2 questions which you have to write. 15 into 2, 30 marks coming up. Now all these types of business have their own importance and functionality. So when you write your 10 mark question, first try to give the concept, then try to explain the meaning. The BPO started in India way back in 97, 98. Good morning and welcome to the Business Environment Model Question Paper Solving Session for the first semester BBA. Now let's move further to understand what is the blueprint of the paper. So 15 mark questions, you will have 2 questions which you have to write. 15 into 2, 30 marks coming up. 10 into 3, 30 marks. And 5 into 4, 20 marks. So the total paper is for 80 marks. Now let's go further and try to see what are the questions that are likely to come under the 15 marks. Now the first thing is that discuss the different types of business. Quite a very simple and most regularly asked question in the paper. Now the different types of business we know is all about the private business, the private companies, public companies, statutory companies. Then when we talk about companies which are guaranteed by shares, which are limited by share, which are guaranteed by debentures. Then we talk about foreign companies. Then we talk about Hindu undivided family business. We talk about one-person type of companies, the limited liability partnership. So there are various forms of business that are available to us today in the Indian economic scenario. Now, all these types of business have their own importance and functionality. Suppose I am choosing to run a company like a one-person company. I will have to run through it under particular mandatory rules and factors. Suppose I am running a partnership-based company. There are certain rules and regulations that are prescribed by the Companies Act. There are certain functionalities which are given by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. So when you write down the types of business, the best way to write this answer is that underline each and every format of business. So when you say private form of company, public company, statutory companies, multinational companies, or when you talk about limited liability partnership or partnership-based one-person company, foreign companies, or when you talk about holding companies, Hindu undivided family business. So each and everything would become a subheading. Now, when you write the explanation, also try to give an example with each one of them so that the examiner understands that you have completely gone through the concept and you will be able to score better marks. Followed by the internal and external environment. For every business, there are 2 kinds of environment. One is the internal, the other one is the external environment. When we talk about the internal environment, it is all about within the company, the people, the process, the technology, their suppliers or the vendors, everybody who are interlinked within the company, their human resources, their marketing, their financial activities, their sales. All the factors that are governing within the company are the internal environment. So for a company, within its own business, it has its own dynamics, it has its own verticals, it has its own functionalities altogether, which will govern the business from time to time. So it is up to the company that they have to evaluate the performance at each and every stage. They have to understand that whenever they are looking into a vertical or a particular factor, how does it affect the business? Now the sales of the company is coming down, so internally they have to understand how we need to improve the sales. If there is a problem with the people, that is from the human resource perspective, how do we need to manage the human resource factor? Now, when we move from the internal factor to that of external factor, we will be talking about all the macro factors like the political, the legal environment, environment, the economical environment, the technology environment, the social environment. So there are different kinds of external factors that will affect the business. Today, when all the companies in the world want to go global, they want to become a global company altogether. So definitely the political, legal, economic, technology, social, cultural, all these kind of factors will affect the company's growth. No company could have that faith or belief saying that they are not going to be disturbed by the external factor. So it is mandatory for every company to understand the external environment in which they are operating. And since many companies have their head office and branch office located in different parts of the world, automatically it is highly important for every company to understand the nature of the operating environment. They need to understand. They cannot just take it for granted that how they are in their headquarters, it will be the same kind of operations that will happen in the different branches or in the different location. So one has to understand the external environment very, very clearly before we start running up the business successfully. Followed by explain the role of international economic environment. Now you may ask me here, what is international economic environment? Moment we want to go global, everything is an economic environment. Whether you do it in India or you do it in Japan or you do it in UK or in the USA. Now international economic environment means the global economic environment that is present and that is conducive enough for the business to happen across. Now, if the international economic environment is disturbed, now in the case of pandemic, in the case of any recession, in the case of anywhere where there is a deflation, in the case when there is a complete breakthrough in terms of unemployment rising up, all these factors can hamper the business growth altogether. So it is mandatory for all of us to understand here the international economic environment. The international economy actually tries to put in the business a very, very clear picture. How can we operate? In what levels we can operate? What are the risks that we can take? And if we are going to invest money in these sectors, what is going to be our return? So the international economic environment is going to be a very big question for all the companies today who are going to undergo different transformation. So from the exam standpoint, when you write about the international economic environment, you need to bring in all the factors that is affecting the global format. So again, you can mention about the political reasons, the economic reasons, the various kinds of currency fluctuations, the monetary reasons, or about the fiscal expenditure, the current scenario that we are experiencing. All this kind of live examples will help you to definitely score marks in the business environment. This is a very, very simple paper. Let me tell you, it is all about the regular business scenario that is going around us. And as and when you are experiencing the changes that are happening in the business environment, you could probably relate those examples and write in the examination. This will definitely help you to score better. Followed by, in the 10 markers, we have the vision and the mission statement, a very, very interesting and important question. Let me just explain you what is a mission and what is a vision statement. First, let me start with the vision statement here. When I talk about the vision, it is about the long-term approach of the organization. Vision cannot be achieved overnight. Vision is the long-term goals of the organization which the company or the organization wish to pursue as long as their existence. The mission statement is from a short-term objective where the company takes it more from an operational standpoint and tries to achieve the objectives. So mission statement is a short-term, vision statement is a long-term objective. You need to mention these points in your paper so that you will be able to score well. Now, when I talk about vision and mission statement, you can also provide examples of the vision and mission statements of different companies like Johnson & Johnson, the Tata Group, the Reliance, or we can talk about the Aditya Birla Group, you can talk about Infosys. All these companies have a vision and mission statement which guides the company to take them further. So the importance of vision and mission is very, very important in terms of making the organization run through the different processes. Then the concept of value system. Every organization in this country, in this globe, will have a set of values which need to be pursued, which needs to be followed altogether. So when we talk about the concept of value, we talk about the importance of how a value system can help you in terms of deciding the company. Now let's say that a company has got a value like honesty, integrity, transparency, ethics in terms of treating the people equal. Now, most of the times you might be seeing in the paper that we are an equal employment opportunity providing company. So that is a value of a company. The company wants to provide opportunity to every single individual, irrespective of class, creed, sex, religion, whatever you are. Why? Because that is a value which they have incorporated into their organization. So when you write about the value system, you have to provide relevant examples which is actually guiding the organization to lead from the front. Value is something that is inbuilt inside an organization. They cannot separate the values or they cannot go against the value. If they follow the value and they run the business, that will provide them a great run, a great mileage in the long run altogether in the business environment. Followed by the legal and political environment. The legal environment is all about the rules and regulations that have been sorted out in today's modern world. So when we talk about the legal environment, let's look into a country like India or like China or like UK or in Dubai. Wherever you are running your business, there are a lot of rules and regulations that have to be followed when you are running a particular business or when you are starting up a business. Now, the rules and regulations can either be on the advantageous mode or on the disadvantageous mode. So when you write this question, you need to tell about the pros and cons of why legal environment will create an impact on the business. Similarly, when we talk about the political environment, the role of government in terms of helping an organization to grow is of a very great importance. The stability levels of the government will actually matter in terms of running the organization. If the government is not stable, they are frequently changing, their policies are changing, or they are not able to provide a guideline to growth, automatically in those countries, the business environment will not be stable. So when you write this point in the examination, please give examples. Please highlight the policies that have been brought out by the recent government in India so that we will be able to understand how the legal and the political environment is actually guiding the companies to take them forward. So when it comes to the part B, you will have questions which are from the most probably from the second, third and the fourth unit of the business environment. And most of these questions are very simple questions trying to test your concept rather than just writing the theory in a long format. So when you write your 10-mark question, first try to give the concept, then try to explain the meaning, and then conclude your answer with an example so that you are able to score complete marks in the examination. Followed by the 5-marker question. You have a lot of interesting 5-markers question which are of a great importance and they are bound to come in your exam. The first one is about the World Trade Organization. The second one is about the business process outsourcing. Then we have questions on franchising and network marketing. and then we have about statutory companies. Now let's go one by one here. When I talk about the World Trade Organization, all we have to mention about the existence of World Trade Organization, which started in 1995, the various branches of World Trade Organization. They help in facilitating about the trade and the bilateral contracts between countries. They are basically a trade facilitator. They are a neutral organization. They don't try to support any country. They actually help in the global economic and the trade building activity. So you need to understand the existence of this particular organization rather than just writing the theory behind it. Now, the aim of WTO came into picture because it wanted to replace GATT, that is the General Agreement on Trade and Tariff, and bring in a much more dynamic organization which could actually build a better facility among the nations so that they can coordinate on the various trading activities. So you could bring in examples here about the recent agreements that have taken place, the various WTO conferences that has happened across the world. That will help you to score marks here. BPO, Business Process Outsourcing, that is the full form of BPO. So when an organization decides to give away its non-core activities, let me write down here for you. I am trying to talk about the non-core activities. The non-core activities are one which are not directly concerned with the mainstay of the organization. So there might be a lot of things like maintenance, facilities, or when we are talking about some IT related activities, some admin related activities. These kind of activities are outsourced by a company to another country, to another place, which is being taken care by them for a particular price. The concept of BPO has actually helped in generating a lot of employment in India. Plus, this actually looks into people with semi-skilled and skilled laborers, and they provide a lot of avenue for growth. The BPO started in India way back in 97, 98, and today we have grown up a long way. We have got more than 5 lakh people in India working under different capacity and a different level altogether in the business process outsourcing. The higher end of BPO is called as KPO, which stands for Knowledge Process Outsourcing. Now, when we move down to the next question, franchising and network marketing. Franchising, most of you know the examples, like when I'm going to give about Domino's, or when I'm going to give about McDonald's, when I'm going to give about Pizza Hut. These are all the franchisee experiences. So they have their chains across the country. They follow the same kind of menu, same kind of color, branding, imaging, advertisement. And franchising is more about just following the rules and giving up the same kind of mixed or experience to the customer. Network marketing, I'm going to talk about examples like Amway. I'm going to talk about Hindustan Lever Limited, which has come up with this, or you can talk about Modi Care. All these kind of companies are one which are involved in network marketing, where they connect with different people, and each and every people will build their own teams. The products will be getting promoted directly from customer to customer. So we are not going to bring in the company, the brokers, the retailers, the wholesalers. We're going to avoid the whole chain. Rather, we are going to connect the customer to customer, and we are going to build the network. So that's what we call by network marketing. But I'm going to talk about statutory companies. These are companies which are done by the Government of India Act itself. So they are directly governed by the government. So whatever rules and regulations on which they are going in, it's done by the government. So private organizations cannot have a say on that. Every single activity in a statutory company is done by the government itself. So when we talk about railways, when we talk about BHEL, LIC, Hindustan Aeronautics, DRDO, these are all statutory companies which are being bought in by the Government of India for a specific function under the Act of Parliament, and they have been guided according to the government rules and regulations. With this, I come to the end of today's session. I hope and believe that all these questions and answers would be of a great help and resource to you for the upcoming examinations. I wish all the best for all the students. who are going to write this business environment paper. Thank you once again for joining me today on this wonderful session.